Okay.
All right, let's get this ball rolling. Hello, everybody. Welcome one and all to the Tony Pruitt Show. Today's guest is a Texas A&M Aggie legend, as well as an NFL icon. He played for the Texas A&M Aggies where he earned All-American honors in both 76 and 78. In 77, he was second-team All-American as a junior. In 1976, he set a record for the longest field goal in college, 65 yards, the only player to make two 60-plus yard field goals in the same game. He is a member of the Sun Bowl 75th anniversary All-Sun Bowl team. In 79, he was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in the third round. He is the first barefooted kicker in the NFL. He made the All-Rookie team in 79 for the Eagles. He made the Pro Bowl in 1986 playing with the Patriots. He was the NFL scoring leader in 1986. Please welcome the one and only one of the baddest kickers of all time, number one, Tony Franklin. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing fine, Tony. Thanks for having me on.
That is one hell of an introduction.
Well, I was very blessed. I always had a great center wherever I was, and I always had a great holder. And, I couldn't do my thing unless the guys up front did theirs, and I always had some great blockers.
Well, I can still remember you playing with a little bit of an attitude. You'd kick and you'd thrust that fist in the air and you run off the field. And I mean, you played with a lot of emotion. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, I did. I mean,
Just because I was, I'd played in high school. I was all district and all county 2 years as a free safety, and I played wide receiver some with Mike Renfro, who is getting inducted not this weekend, but next weekend into the Texas Sports Hall of Fame. So it's going to be kind of fun being there, since Mike and I think are the only guys that played high school. He's a year older than me, though, on the same teams to be inducted in the.
That's a pretty cool deal.
Yeah. So
it's great.
Yeah. So it was, I knew how to play the game, but I just, let's face it, when I was a senior in high school, there wasn't a real big demand for a 5'8", 150-pound defensive back.
Well, there is when you kick like you did.
Yeah, so I just tried to do something else and found something and stuck with it. And the good Lord blessed me, and I had a pretty decent career collegiately and professionally.
Well, that sounds like a winner. Before we get started, your agent, I always thought your agent should have signed you with a sock deal.
Yeah, I actually did one of those old Wheaties commercials where you had to sing your deal, and I actually did one of those, and it was pretty fun back in, I think it was 81. But yeah, I don't know. Back then everybody was playing on AstroTurf, and the soles of the shoes were so thick that, they're about an inch thick. You really couldn't flex your foot to be able to hit the ball. And so I just took my shoe off and found that I could be a lot better without the shoe on than without the shoe being on my foot. I could kick it farther and a lot straighter.
Well, we're going to get into that.
Okay.
Absolutely. But you played 9 years in the NFL.
I actually played 10.
You played 10 years. That's even better.
I did.
That's a heck of a career. Wouldn't you agree?
Oh, I would think so. I mean, like I said, I was very blessed. The good Lord was awful good to me. But and I always say this, what was really interesting when I was in the pros, Guy Morris, who played at TCU from Arlington, was our center in Philly, and he was the starting center, and he would snap on extra points and field goals. And when I got traded to New England, Guy got released by the Eagles, and New England, they needed somebody to deep snap, and I said, well, you guys ought to look at Guy Morris. So they signed Guy, and Guy played another 5 years with me there. So really fortunate. Guy had the revolutions down to a science. All the holder would have to do is catch the ball and just set it. I think maybe 3 times in all of my years of kicking did the holder ever have to turn the ball. That's how good he was.
Oh, he went on to coach at Baylor, right?
He did. Absolutely. Bless his heart. He's got CTE right now. So I'm doing better. Yeah, him and one of my dear friends, Jerry Sizemore, that played in Texas, has got it.
That's terrible.
Yeah, they're having some memory issues, but they're doing okay, I think.
Well, good deal. Well, let's start from the beginning. Were you born and raised in Big Spring, correct?
I lived in Big Spring till I was in the 3rd grade. And then we moved to Hamlin, Texas. And then we were there a couple of years. And we moved to Fort Worth when I was in the 6th grade. And that's where I went to high school.
So you went to school in Fort Worth?
I did. Went to Arlington Heights High School in Fort Worth.
Okay. Did you play other sports other than football?
Played baseball. I was kind of like the hatchet man on the basketball team.
Well.
And I'd run a little track every now and then. I'd run the 440 relay. I usually started, but I pulled my string my junior year, and then I just kind of left that alone after that.
When did you start kicking?
Really an interesting story. I was left halfback in the wishbone my freshman year in high school. And I ran a 4.5 40 when I was 15 years old. I could motor.
Wow.
I had like 1,600 yards in 10 games my freshman year. And in between those games, between my freshman year and my sophomore year, I played in a pickup football game out at the stadium. And just so happened I went up and caught a pass. I came down on Mike Renfro's foot and rolled my ankle under and tore all the ligaments in my left ankle. And I was in a cast for about 2.5 months. And couldn't really run. It took me a good while to get my speed back. So I just started kind of fooling around, kicking a little bit. And the JV would practice in the morning. Of course, I'd go stand and watch. And in the evenings, when my dad would get off work, he'd come by and we'd get there on the practice field. And he'd hold and I'd just start kicking the ball. And I just started fooling around and wasn't having a lot of success. I tried kicking straight, not too good. My shoe on from the side, a little bit better. And then I just said, well, wonder what would happen if I took my shoe off. And, all of a sudden I was making 10 out of 10 from 50 and, 55 yards. So I just kind of stuck with that. And really funny story. I was 15 years old, not quite 16. I was a sophomore in high school, and we were going to play Fort Worth Northside, who was picked to be the district champions that year. And Coach Pruitt said, come down and see me after the pep rally. I want to talk to him. I said, okay. So I went down there and I walked in. He said, come with me. So he took me down to the varsity dressing room and opened the door and said, pick out a jersey. And I said, what are you talking about? He said, well, you're going to punt and kick for us tonight against Northside. So we played Northside and it was muddy. And I think I kicked a field goal and we beat them 3-0. And
really?
That was it for it. It wasn't a very far one, but it was like 35 yards. But it was in the mud and the rain, and we ended up beating them. So it was that was kind of the start of it. So I got my speed back, so I started playing defensive back, and another guy started punting, but I did all the kicking.
And did you kick barefooted in high school, you said?
I wore a sock. I just wore a sock.
You just wore a sock. Okay.
The only time I went completely barefooted was when I went to A&M, and it rained so much during 2 days, I got tired of changing socks, so I just took the sock off.
So tell us why you started kicking barefooted. I mean, the mental toughness you had to have, incredible.
Well, it wasn't so much that. It was a lot easier to hit the ball because I could flex my foot at a certain angle and hit the ball in the sweet spot on the top of my foot. And that's why I did. I couldn't do that because the soles were not flexible enough. So I took it off and I just, like Daryl once said, you dance with who brung you. So I just worked on it. Never really bothered me because where I hit it on my foot, the absorption of shock, the big bone in the middle of your foot absorbed all shock, so it never hurt. The only time it ever really bothered me was, being in Philly and being in New England. It can get cold there, but I just kept my shoes and socks on and wrapped up till it was time to go out and kick, and then I'd do my thing and come back to the bench and put them back on and stick them back in the heater. That was
Gotcha.
Yeah,
but it had to have stung like crazy.
No, it really didn't. The first couple of times it was like, that's interesting. So, but once you do it enough times, you get used to it. You kind of know what to expect. So it never really bothered me. Why
do you think nobody does it anymore?
I really don't know, but I would guess that because there's a lot of great kickers out there right now. I mean, Justin Tucker, Randy Bullock was good at A&M. There's a lot of guys out there that kick the ball, but the kicking shoes now that they have made, they're like paper thin. Mm-hmm. And they have absolutely hardly, if any, sole on the bottom. So they can do the same thing with a shoe on now and wear a sock. Now that I couldn't do because they didn't have the technology to make the shoes like that back when I played. You forget I'm an old guy.
I understand totally. I'm right there with you, my friend. So did you have any other offers to go other than A&M?
It's a real funny story. TCU recruited me really hard and heavy. And they wanted me to go and kick, especially after I kicked that 58-yarder, set the state record my senior year in high school. TCU, New Mexico State wanted me to come out and punt and kick and play defensive back. And I didn't feel like driving all the way to Las Cruces. Nothing against the school or anything, but that was just too far away. And Oklahoma wanted me to walk on, and Nebraska wanted me to walk on. And SMU recruited me a little bit, and then they signed some other guy. And I don't think that guy ever played. But, about, 2 weeks before signing period, who was it? I think it was Dean Campbell came down and saw me and said, no, it's Melvin Robertson, our defensive coordinator, said, well, we'd like to talk to you about possibly coming to A&M, but we want you to walk on. And I said, Coach, if I come, I said, I'm going to have a scholarship. I'm not going to walk on. I've got other offers. Well, about a week before signing date, Emory Ballard himself came down and said, his southern drawl, Antoine, we're going to give you the opportunity to be the first full scholarship kicker in A&M history. And I said, Coach, I accept.
Good for you.
I committed. I never even visited the campus, but we all watched the Emory Ballard show on TV. All the time after A&M would play on Saturday, and the Emory Ballard game show would come on Sundays afternoons, and we'd always watch it. And so I watched it, and it was pretty cool. And the other thing that came in, I wanted to go somewhere where I could have an opportunity to play as a freshman. I never liked sitting on the bench for anything or anybody.
Right.
I wanted to play. So, they gave me an opportunity. I started as a freshman and played all 4 years.
Well, you said 18 NCAA records at that time. Which one of those is most memorable?
Probably the NCAA record was 63 yards, and I kicked a 64 in the second quarter against Baylor my sophomore year, and then I kicked a 65 in the third quarter.
Right.
And that probably the career field goal mark of 56 in 4 years. That was probably those two.
Yeah, that's.
I kicked 5 in a game against Rice, and but I think those two probably, Tony, were.
I would have to agree with you.
Those were the most significant.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And to kick the 56-yarder was really, the one for the 56 career field goal was my senior year, and we played SMU in Dallas, and I made a field goal with 15 or 20 seconds left in the game, and made the field goal, and we won the game 20-17, and that got us into a bowl game my senior year too.
Oh, that's even better.
And what was even better than that was the coach at the time was Ron Meyer at SMU, and he traded for me and got me out.
Oh, yeah. He sure did. That's kind of a little tweak there, isn't it?
Yeah, he's a good guy. He was a good guy.
Tell us why you are the legend of the Sun Bowl. I got to hear this story.
Oh, I don't know. I don't know. I tried a field goal in the first quarter. We played Florida, and we had gotten up there, and Florida had come. I had probably a bad habit, as Coach Ballard used to tell me, of letting my alligator mouth overload my tadpole butt, And we're up there. We had a joint luncheon, and the coaches got up to speak and all this, and then select players from each team got up there, and the guys from Florida got up, they're the SEC guys, and they're talking all this trash and this and that. Then the A&M guys got up, and they asked me to get up and say a few words. And as soon as I got to the podium, Coach Ballard got up and said, "Now, Antoine, remember where you're at." And all I said was, "Well, you Florida boys had better have your dadgum shoelaces tied up pretty tight, because you're going to dadgum cheerlead." We just absolutely powder kegged them. And I kicked, I think, 3 or 4 field goals, and one of them was a 62-yarder, which is still the whole record. So I think that's probably why. But that was funny. Coach Ballard made sure I didn't go up.
Well, you mentioned the 2 kicks against Baylor. What do you remember about that day?
Well, it was cold, and it was wet. It drizzled and rained on and off the whole day. And my wife, now she says, "God, I'll never forget that game." She said, "You kicked all those field goals against Baylor." And I had the worst day, and I had to kiss that guy every time we scored. And I was mad at you for making all those field goals. I think I hit like 3 that day. But it was cold and it was windy. And my good friend Gary Green, who played at Kansas City, he coached in high school here in San Antonio. He told me after the game, he said, "Man, I stood under the crossbar." And he said, because the calf said, "Get back there and return these." And he said, "I couldn't do nothing." He said, "All I could do was just sit there and look at them go over my head." So that was probably the one thing that I remember the most.
Oh, man, that was unbelievable. So do you get nervous before you go out to kick?
I think that, a lot, it depends. The only time I ever really got nervous was like the very first field goal of each season. It's just kind of like when you're playing the opening kickoff, you're nervous as you can be until the opening kickoff, and you go down the field and hit somebody, then you're fine. All the jitters are gone. And that's kind of the same way it was, whether it's the first extra point, the first field goal, or the first kickoff. For me, that was my contact. So, after that, I was okay. But no, other than that, I never really did, because, you just have to have confidence in what you're doing and know that you've done it 1,000 times and just not trying to overdo it.
Just got to do it one more time. Did you ever get hammered in the kickoffs? Do you ever remember getting?
Absolutely. Yeah, I've got a great story for you. My rookie year in Philadelphia, we're playing the Redskins. And Jack Pardee was coaching the Redskins there. Mm-hmm. And if I was kicking from north to south, when I'm kicking towards the south end zone, I was the safety from the middle of the field to the visiting team sideline. That was half of the field. Well, I kick off on time, and a guy brings it out of the end zone, and they set up a perfect wall. And I'm fixing to have to make a tackle. And all of a sudden, I'm fixing to make a tackle, and I hear somebody busting out laughing. And the next thing I know, I got ear hold, and I'm on the sidelines, and Pardee's standing over me saying, "Tony, you all right?" "Tony, you all right?" And I forced myself to get up and walk over to the other side of the field. And to make matters worse, the next day in film review, Dick Vermeil goes, "Hey, let's check the hang time out on our kicker here." That guy must have gone 9 yards. You can get blown up pretty easy.
I would imagine so. So have you ever injured your foot where you couldn't kick? I mean, you don't have a backup kicker on a team. I mean,
we didn't really have one in Philadelphia. Steve Grogan, when I was in New England, our old quarterback, had a square-toed shoe. And every now and then we'd, on Saturdays, we'd go through walkthroughs, and they'd let Grogan try a few extra points and stuff just in case something happened. Usually it's the punter, and I was always the backup punter in case, because, I could punt. I punted
right.
Them, so.
Right.
You kind of have to keep your keep yourself ready just in case.
Unbelievable. So what's the longest? I'm assuming that in practice you try 60 yards. How far?
73 yards.
73 yards is the longest you kicked in practice.
Yeah, 2-step approach. Wow. Yeah, I bet Coach Paul Register was our D-line coach at A&M. And I bet him a cigar that I could make one. He said, boy, you don't need to be smoking. I said, I don't smoke, but I know you do. That's why I want to bet you. I'll bet you a cigar against a pecan pie, because that was his favorite. And he said, you're on. I said, how many shots do I get? He said, you get 3. So I was wide left on the first one, and I was short on the second one, and the third one I nailed right down the pipe. So
wow.
That was it. But in a game, yes, in a game was 59 in the pros against Dallas on Monday Night Football.
I remember that. Thank you very much.
I was a Dallas Cowboys fan my entire life. And,
that's actually my next question. Did you grow up a Cowboy fan?
I did. And, even when I was at A&M, my wife Sally and I, and you'll meet her this year in Waco. I think I'm going to twist your arm and make her go. But Gil Brandt took us to lunch one time and told us both that the Cowboys were going to draft me. And I guess they waited too long, and Philly got me, which was fine. I got to play in the Super Bowl and got to do this and got to do that. But, I would have loved playing for the Cowboys. But then again, like I said, I'm blessed to have been able to play for 10 years and play for 2 great teams. I mean, I actually played a half a season with Miami, but here were my 3 coaches in the pros: Dick Vermeil, Raymond Berry, and Don Shula.
Not bad.
Not bad. Those 3, yeah. So I was very fortunate.
What kind of coach is Dick Vermeil?
Dick he was a real funny guy. He was a great motivator. There's no question about that. And he was half Italian and half French, so he was very emotional. And his feelings, they were on his sleeve. No problem. He didn't have a problem, balling or this and that. That's just the way he was. But Dick was absolute workaholic, knew what he was doing, and demanded perfection. And the guys loved him for it. And then, of course, Raymond Berry was just the opposite. Raymond was just real quiet, real stoic, never got upset, and Dick could cuss you out to your face like you were nothing. Raymond, I think I heard him say 1 cuss word in 5 years. That's it. Greatest man I think I've ever known, other than my dad and Emery Ballard. But Raymond was a great coach and unflappable. Unflappable. I mean, it was unreal. And of course, I love Coach Shula. He was great, but Shula never ever got out coached. The other team just had better players.
Exactly. Or y'all didn't execute properly.
Yeah, exactly. But that's okay. Yeah.
Well, you played in 2 Super Bowls. What's it like to play in a Super Bowl? It's got to be a little bit different than the others.
Yeah, it's interesting. The first one I played in, you get kind of caught up in all of the hype and all the stuff. And you have to go out there and remember it's just another football game. It really is.
Well, that's kind of hard to do.
It is kind of hard to do. But, once the whistle blows and this and that, you got to get out there and take care of business at hand. And I think when I was in Philly, we got beat by the Raiders in Super Bowl 15. We had a couple of bad breaks. We scored a touchdown that we should have gotten. To this day, we still can't find the illegal motion penalty that they threw against us. And then we had one long play that Herman Edwards had gone up to try and tip the ball, and it went up over his hands, right into Kenny King's hands, and he went 80 yards down the sideline. We got beat 27-10. You take that 14 points back, it would have been a much closer game.
You got a ball game. Yeah.
Now, when I played with New England against the Bears, we scored first. We're up 3-0, and my kittens in my lap, and we after that was it. I mean,
the 85 Bears is the best ever.
Anything that could have gone wrong, that game did. And but we started out, we dropped 2 interceptions and a touchdown pass. We should have been up 17-zip. Instead, we were up 3-0, and then once they scored, that was it. We lost our starting tight end, and then Tony Eason kind of went down and went out. They put Steve Grogan in, and that was kind of, it was just one of those things. Those guys were a buzzsaw that day like they had been all year. We had played them earlier in the season in Chicago, and they only beat us. They beat us 20-10 at Soldier Field. But they beat us, 40-60.
Oh, well.
But I was never so glad to see Denver come back or San Francisco beat Denver 52-10. So ours had been the worst thrashing in the Super Bowl. Now I don't own that one anymore.
Do you follow any kickers today?
Oh yeah, I watch them all. I love to watch Justin Tucker kick. That boy's got a big gun leg. My dear friend, when I was playing, we used to kick against each other all the time, was Morton Anderson. Morton was.
Oh yeah,
he's a great kicker. But I kind of grew up watching Jan Stinner. I told him that. That I ended up, kind of watching how he marked his steps off and this and that. And I used to be a student and watching him kick. But, there's a lot of good kickers out right now in the pros. The key, the emphasis is on accuracy. That's the difference between college and the pros. Now, if you can do both, kick it 9 miles and be accurate while you're doing it,
right,
definitely in a plus situation. So, I watched Justin Tucker and who else is so good out there? And basically, they all are. The guy that kicks for Dallas, he'll miss one or two, but that kid's got a half a run too. He can kick it a mile. Most of them, that guy in Kansas City, Butker, he can kick it a mile.
Yeah.
All these guys have got big legs. So, just kind of choose your poison. But I think the one that's probably the best one out there right now, Barber, is probably Justin Tucker.
I follow him too. Of course, he's a Longhorn,
Yeah, I understand. Yeah, and I'm going to hold that against you neither. I don't know.
Listen, did you see him on 60 Minutes about a month ago? That was really a good episode. I did not know that the kickers carry their own balls.
Yeah, a lot of them do.
And they get to rough them up and get them like they want. And I thought the quarterbacks brought their own balls, but I didn't know the kickers did.
I was playing, what killed Steve Little and Russell Erskine is they used to bring these old pumpkins into the game and kicking balls that they'd kick in practice, and they were all blown up, and they were like son of whoever, you'd kick those 9 miles. And Little and Russell did that both. I never did. And so when they got into the pro game, you could not touch the balls. They were brand new, out of the box, aired up, and that was it.
Oh.
And so they don't go half as far. And I think
that was my next question.
Yeah, I think in all honesty, that hurt both of them.
That was my question to you. Did you get to do that to your balls?
I never did. Yeah.
That'd been a big advantage.
I think the thing that helped me too is, I kicked with a 2-inch tee in college, and so did those guys. But I never had any real issue kicking off the turf. I could always get the ball up, no problem. I used to have a drill where I would be 4 yards from the crossbar, and I could get the ball up from 4 yards back, up over the crossbar.
Wow.
And that's what I would work out on. That way you don't get your stuff slapped back in your face.
Right. What does your license plate say?
Well, I used to have one that said no shoe.
Right. That's the one I'm referring to.
No, I don't have it anymore. My wife said, you don't need to have that anymore. There's too many crazy people out there now. So, but I did. I had a license plate that she had gotten from me, no shoe. So
that's perfect. That's perfect.
Yeah. And I think it's still registered to my name. So if I ever wanted to get it again, I could. But I just, she always had a personalized plate for her. And we just both decided, I'm 65 and she's 64 now. We just kind of, we're enjoying our anonymity right now.
There you go. Well, what are you doing? What are you doing nowadays?
I'm retired.
Oh, good for you.
I have a ranch in Junction, and I do some deer hunting on my place. I've shot some pretty good deer off my place. I shot a 11-pointer, not this past year, but the season before, that had a 5-inch drop tine on it. That's pretty good for hill country. Yeah.
That's really good.
And I hear you. I got another 10-pointer. He scored 155. Bowman Crockett. He was a big deer.
Wow.
Big deer. So yeah, I love it. It's fun for me. My dad was never a hunter, and I like to fish when I get the chance because Sally, my wife, likes to fish. But mostly, if I'm not doing much, I'm helping her around the house whenever she asks me to, which she's pretty good. She doesn't monopolize all my time. I'm usually at the golf course.
Right. How is that golf game, by the way?
Well, right now it's not too good. I just had a cataract taken out of my right eye. I played for the first time in 4 months Friday and shot 88. So, excuse me, I'll get it back down into the mid to high 70s before long. But that, like I said, that I hadn't picked up a club in 4 months.
Wow, that's pretty good. So, well, now I hear you're involved in high school football. Do you announce games?
I was announcing, doing color for San Antonio high school football. Did it for about 13 years, and I haven't done it in the last couple of years, Tony. But I think Sally asked me the other day, why don't you get out there and get back on the radio and start doing football again? So what I did was color, and high school's just fine for me. I don't have any real big idea about doing it collegiately or professionally, but I know enough about the game that I know what's going on and what's
not. Oh, absolutely.
So
you want to pursue
I enjoyed it. It was fun.
My last question.
Yes, sir.
What advice do you have for kickers nowadays? For maybe a student that's a kicker, what kind of advice can you give?
Study the great ones. See what they do. See how they mark their steps, whether it's extra points and field goals, or how far back they're standing, and mark their steps on their approaches on kickoffs. Study the great ones, the Justin Tuckers, the Harrison Buckners. I can't remember the Dallas kid's name. What's his name?
I can't think of it either.
C, isn't it? It's White something.
Yeah, I drew a blank.
There's a bunch of guys out there that are really good, and that's kind of what I would tell the guys coming up. Study and see what they're doing. See how they're warming up on the sidelines. And you can pretty much go on the internet and get, football kickers workouts. A lot of it, when I was playing, a lot of them were lifting weights. Now, we didn't do a lot of leg weights. Ours was always more about flexibility and range of motion. It's like a golf swing. And, the older I get, the tighter it is. The harder for me it is to get it back here and get through the ball.
A little bit of muscle memory there.
Exactly. So, it's flexibility, brother. But pay attention to the good ones and try and mimic what they're doing and see if you can incorporate that into your own deal.
And practice.
That's it, brother. That's it. And the other thing I tell them is don't try and overkick the football. I always try to kick a 50-yard field goal with the same motion that I would kick an extra point. It's just like swinging a golf club. If you try and hit it too hard, you're going to go over the top and snap it left. You're going to hook it, or you're going to drop your right shoulder, cut yourself off, and pop it up straight right. So nice and smooth, the same way every time.
Good advice. Well, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, sir. It's my pleasure.
Is there anything you want to add in closing?
Yes. Can't wait to start playing the horns
again. I'm looking forward to that myself.
That's going to be a lot of fun, Tony. I think it's something that needed to happen for a long time. That's been the best football game in college football history for many years. So
no question.
They started playing each other again, and I'm looking forward to it.
And I hope it's on Thanksgiving. That'd be even better.
That would. It really would. It really would. All right,
partner. Take care. You're a class act, man.
Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and it was a real pleasure. Thanks for having me on, and God bless you.
God bless you. I'll see you in about 2 weeks.
Okay. Take care.
Take care. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.